We're going to talk about managing site safety risk from a design professional point of view. For managing the risk of liability arising out of job site safety, it's important for firms that are designers and construction managers to have a clear and unambiguous contract. This is vital to identify, to define what is the responsibility that you may have for site safety, and it should only be as to your own employees and not for the employees of the owner or a contractor or anyone else that might be on that site. So we need to define carefully what is the role that the designer has with regard to site safety. It's equally important to be very conscious of how actions that you might have in the field could be judged by courts to say that even though you have a great contract that says you have no responsibility for site safety, you could go out and ruin all that through your actions in the field. You could insinuate yourself into the site safety responsibility. A court will look at 7 factors that we're going to talk about in evaluating whether you have gone beyond your contract and created site safety responsibility. We've talked about the 7 factors. Now let's talk about the actual contract language that we'd like to see. The AIA B101 has excellent clauses that will protect you from site safety responsibility that you might otherwise have picked up from a contractor. So if you look at the construction phases, services article in the contract, it actually says the architect shall not have control over, charge of, or responsibility for the construction means, methods, techniques, procedures, or for safety procedures or precautions of the contractor. This is very important to use that AIA language. There is another clause in the AIA contract dealing with shop drawing reviews. Again, it says the architect's review shall not constitute approval of safety precautions. Again, a very vital clause. If you are not using AIA and you're using an owner-generated contract, you might still go to this contract language from the AIA and try to insert that into your owner-generated contract to give you protection. Now let's move on to one last consideration, and that is, what do you do in the field if you happen to see an imminent danger? There is a contractor doing something really awful, not complying with code, they're out there working without harnesses, they're in trenches that aren't shored and protected, and somebody could die. Do you have any responsibility? It really varies state to state, so first thing I would say is you need to talk to the attorneys in your state to understand what your state law and your common law of your state require. But my own general guidance is that as a designer, if you see something where there is an imminent danger, better for you to do something about it, stop the work if necessary. But don't allow that to then create an ongoing obligation to this contractor for site safety, because they will try to use that against you. And some courts will say, you save the guy once, you got to keep saving him for the rest of the project. The way to try to alleviate or avoid that is if you give that advice to the contractor and you stop that work, immediately tell the owner, your client, in writing what you've done and that this is beyond your scope. You're not doing it again. You did it today to save a life, but that the owner and the contractor need to take this responsibility. It is not yours. And that way you have protected the instant situation, but avoided ongoing liability. Thank you very much. These are the key points that I want you to take away on site safety responsibility for design professionals.